Game two of the NBA Finals just wrapped up. The Oklahoma City Thunder came out with a purpose, and after dropping a heartbreaking game one, they punched back hard, winning 123 to 107 and evening the series at 1-1. And we're breaking everything down: Shai's brilliance, the second quarter explosion, the bench mob, the Pacers struggles, and what this all means moving forward. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for the second quarter run, I feel like that was one of the most key and important parts of this game. The game was close pretty early on. It was a back and forth in the first quarter, and OKC kind of just lit a fuse, and then boom, a 19-2 run in the second quarter blew this game wide open. Everything started with defense. Lou Dort was pressuring Haliburton, forcing tough passes. Then on offense, Shai got downhill. Chet was cleaning up the boards, and the bench just came in red hot. The Thunder turned a 1-point game into a 23-point halftime lead. And that was the dominant stretch of basketball that we've seen from either team in this series so far. And that second quarter, that was a turning point. That's when the Thunder made their final statement. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we got to talk about him a little bit. He is him, man. Shai finished with 34 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. And that's just not just a good game. That's a superstar taking control in the whole moment that we really needed him. We could not go down 2-0 after blowing 2 games at home. That would just be horrible for us. He's now scored 30 plus in 9 straight home playoff games. That's tying Wilt Chamberlain for the longest such streak, and he has 72 points across 2 games in the finals. That's the most in NBA history for a player first 2 games ever. I mean, that's ridiculous. The way he's controlling pace, attacking mismatches, getting to the line, he's seeing the floor pretty much like a vet, executing like a killer. There's no moment that's too big for him. He's the best player in this series, and it's really not close at all. The other key point about this game, the bench took over for us. We got to talk about the role players because it wasn't just about Shai. Alex Caruso came off the bench, gave us 20 points. Aaron Wiggins dropped 18 points. That's 38 points off the bench from 2 guys who weren't even in the league spotlight, 2 years ago. Caruso's hitting clutch threes, brought that championship DNA. Wiggins gave them offense and fearless drives. When your bench outplays the other team starters, you're going to win on most nights, and this was just one of those nights. The other people that really bounced back in this is Chet and J-Dub. That's who we were really asking to step up, and they were quiet in game one. Not tonight. Chet scored 15. He was way more aggressive inside. He wasn't fading on contact. He was going to go into it, and that's the type of growth you want to see from this guy. And Jalen, man, come on. J-Dub, 19 points, got to the line 9 times. That's the most important part. Getting to the line is key for both of these guys, and he played way more force, reading on switches much quicker, and he's just taking advantage of the size mismatches. Both guys just bounced back kind of exactly what we needed from them, and that's how you want this young core to respond in the finals. We've got to move over to the Pacers struggles. They struggled again, both games, honestly. They looked flat. Haliburton scored 17, but he wasn't really aggressive. Only 5 points in the first half. I think 3 in the first quarter. He had more turnovers than field goals in the second quarter alone. Siakam wasn't much of a factor. Miles Turner really disappeared in this game. He wasn't all that. And the Pacers didn't have a single 20-point scorer in game 2. That's just pretty much like game 1. They just, that cannot be happening in the finals. I was told that this is the best offense. And, there's plenty of guys out there on podcasts, rah-rahing about the fact that this, team lost and the defense isn't that elite, but this offense has not been elite. It's been vanishing under pressure. We got to give credit to the OKC defense. They were locked in. They were smart, closed out hard, kept Indy out of rhythm all night. And the bigger picture is we're 1-1 headed to Indiana. I feel like the Pacers did their job. They split, on the road. That's what they wanted. I think it matters for them. OKC showed that they could respond. I feel like that's a bigger thing for me. Like if they didn't respond in this game, obviously the series is cooked. They're 18-2 right now, the Thunder, after a loss this season. That's not really luck. That's habit. That's consistency. And they're doing that with one of the youngest rosters in the finals in history. On the other side, the Pacers now have the pressure. They're going to be home. We have the momentum. They've got to win game 3. And because if they don't, they're going to be looking at a young Thunder team that's going to smell the blood. they're going to be like piranhas and, definitely look to close out against them over the next 2 games after that. The series just shifted. I feel like Indiana needs to, provide some answers. I feel like that's really covering most of that game. Game 2, domination by OKC, tying it up. We head to Indiana, all squared up. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Who's been the X factor so far? What adjustments do the Pacers need to make in Game 3? Drop a like, hit that sub, turn on the bell. Game 3 preview coming soon to you guys, and you don't want to miss that one. See y'all on the next one. But before we head out, as always, we're going to finish out the rest of these highlights. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. My goodness. TJ McConnell has been playing really, I feel like we made a slight adjustment on him, putting more defensive guards on him this time around versus last time. He really got to control the game when he came in. This lob was one of my favorite plays. It was a key moment. The crowd went absolutely crazy. I feel like the crowd in Game 2 versus Game 1 was just way louder, and we need that type of energy when we come back home for Game 5. I cannot wait for that. That's a great save. Aaron Wiggins saved basketball. Oh, man, he missed. This stretch right here, this was crazy. And then he went back. Boom. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Wiggins played out of his mind. I loved it. I loved it so much. We needed that from him. He hasn't had that great of a playoffs overall. He's had a couple good games, but I need more consistency from him. And honestly, we need Mark to just play him more minutes. He gets 20 minutes. He's usually the highest plus-minus margin guy on our team. And that's just been pretty consistent from him. Tyrese hit a big 3. They had a bunch of opportunities where they just started cutting into the lead, but they couldn't extend those runs due to our defense. And that's what I thought Game 1 should have looked like, but we just never, took that urgency. And tonight we did. We were like, we're the better team. We're never going to let them come back. And if they do, we'll take a timeout. We'll take a foul. We'll do whatever, slow the pace down and, always respond. And that's kind of what we did. It was a blowout really throughout the game, but I still enjoyed watching it. It's the finals. You don't get to see the Thunder. Tyrese Haliburton showed up in the fourth quarter. I believe he had 12 points in the fourth. The rest, in the first half or whatever, it wasn't that impressive of a game. Shai gets downhill right there. Come on, man. TJ McConnell opens up the lane. He's really good at getting down into the lane. It's really hard to stop him when he wants to get down there. Shai splits the defense, kicks out to Caruso. Amazing night, 20 points, big 3 right there. Love that from them. All right, I'll see you guys. Peace out.